Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Good Guy Sports, joined by myself, your host for today, Blake Gerke, our usual guest, Jackson Gerke, Mike Roby, and very special returning guest. We're glad to have him back on Good Guy Sports, Alex Gross. Alex, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. Long time listener, second time participant. So
Yes, for all of our YouTube viewers as well, please check out Alex's wonderful Good Guy Sports background. It's a real treat, so definitely go check out the YouTube channel. Jackson, we got to say at the top though, we will be off next week because me and you will be traveling out to the West Coast to go to the San Francisco Giants game. They are hosting us on behalf of Good Guy Sports for Autism Acceptance Night on next Friday, Jack. So, how excited are you to get out to the West Coast next week, man?
Oh, I'm very excited, Blake. It's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity that my parents have worked really hard for. Oracle Park is a very nice ballpark, and I have to admit, I've been to both Dodger Stadium and Oracle Park. I haven't been to Petco Park yet, but out of all the ballparks on the West Coast, I've been to Angels Stadium before with my dad and brother and I. Although we didn't catch a game there, of course, because it was all rained out that day. So um, I've seen I haven't been to T-Mobile Park, which is in Seattle, but Oracle Park. I think I'm going to really love this ballpark because you got McKinney Cove. You can see all the balls trying to splash out in the water, where you see all those people with their kayaks going on, try to chase after a ball to see who gets the to see who gets the to see like like it's like a race. See who gets the ball out there in the water.
Yep.
It's going to be very chilly on the day that we're going to be going to the game, but it's going to be a night game because unlike Southern California, where it's since I got the San Francisco Bay Bridge in the background. For those of you who are wondering about my Zoom background this week, it's just how beautiful and gorgeous it is. Is
Yeah,
that
very beautiful.
it's going to be very chilly. So you're probably going to be seeing me wearing um a layer of a coat or a jacket that I'm going to be wearing because of how chilly and cold it's going to
Ah,
get there. But
you'll survive.
well, yeah. Oh, oh, you know me. I'm a tough guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
So, Jack, we got to just say quickly, thanks to the Giants and everyone listening and viewing. Go check out the Autism Acceptance Night they're hosting on the 20th. So, just a big shout out to them and all the community work they're doing. But Jack,
That's right.
we got some big series to cover here, and we're going to start with
That's right, Blake.
the game happening tonight, which is the Stanley Cup Finals. For those not following along, Florida took a 2-1 lead in game three over the Edmonton Oilers in dominant fashion, 6-1 victory at home. What we have come to expect really from the Florida Panthers this postseason and last postseason especially. And game four happening tonight as well in Sunrise, Florida. So Jack, just quickly, how I mean, given how dominant Florida looked in game three, this a bit of a must win for Edmonton tonight, right, Jack?
Absolutely, Blake. Absolutely. Now, before I get into all that, Blake, I did want to point out one last thing before you even jumped into hockey is that it's it that for those of you who don't know about the Autism Awareness Night, that it's actually Will Clark and his family that were going to be meeting, which I know is a very nice player who helps out with the community in the Bay Area. He's just a very nice guy, and I think that the people that who are in charge of this for the special events that they do with the team is going to be very special. So I think that you and I, brother Blake, are really going to really enjoy it together. So I'm very excited about that. Now
Yep.
back to the hockey game for a second. So you mentioned about the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers just took too many penalties. They had too many men on the ice that 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 they had that Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid and Corey Perry. There was a lot of there was a lot of chippiness going at it, and
Yeah.
between every single fight that they were going at it, because the Florida Panthers
Everyone just
just
started
they were
fighting
on
at
a
the end of the
scoring
game. Yeah.
machine, and they kept scoring goals after goals, on and the Panthers just and the Panthers just went on the power play and just scored on multiple goals by one of their star players, such as Matthew Tkachuk, Seth Jones, and Carter Verhaeghe, and their goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky is playing on a whole nother level. And this Florida Panthers team are the defending Stanley Cup champions for a reason. Is why they're back in this position, and why they have a 2-1 series lead right now, including of how well they played at home in their last few games in the start of this playoff run that they're in under Paul Maurice and those guys who really know how to find ways to win, especially in the overtime thriller in game two that really decided it all for if decided it all because if you think about it, if your team were to be down 2-0 in the Stanley Cup final, which is not where you want to be, but luckily the Panthers just found their game and their momentum, and they just somehow found a way to to beat out to beat out to possibly beat out Shanor Skinner for the Oilers for their goaltender, which really had allowed most goals that have led to a top shelf kind of a sneaky kind of goals by one of their players on for the Oilers, and so
what about tonight, Jack? What's going to happen tonight then? What is
okay? So tonight, so the Oilers, from what I understand, is that really what they should be doing is just stay out of the penalty box. Don't take too many mistakes, because
right?
what
Florida's
happens
been
is
capitalizing
that,
on those for sure.
well, absolutely, they certainly are, and I think what they should be doing is just try to is really just try to not take too many turnovers, and just try to make sure you
Smart hockey.
that's right, and just try not to take too many opportunities, so that coach Chris Knock and those guys can
Yep.
just really know what they're doing, so that they can just hopefully not turn the puck over, because what's happening is that the Florida Panthers just are just somehow back in control of the series, and so
Yeah, for sure.
if that trend is going to continue, then I think the Florida Panthers are probably going to become back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, because
Jackson, I want to jump down to Mike really quick to get his thoughts. Mike, I see the background as well. I like that.
Yeah. Now this is let's get out of the way here. This is the
sled dog.
that's the background that the Oilers have in their locker room now.
Okay.
We all pull
Canadian
in
wilderness
the same direction.
Very nice.
They're taking there was a story, I think it was in the New York Times today. Jason Cambo was the musher who had a couple accidents, but his dogs stayed with him.
Oh, wow.
And that's pretty much, long story short, how he survived. Was that the dogs stay there. So they're using this as inspiration. But the Florida Panthers just remind me of a biker gang on skates.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just relentless.
For sure. They don't stop, do they?
They just
No.
don't.
Physical.
Yeah. But, Jack said it. The Oilers have to stay out of the penalty box. They had 3 power play goals against them. 85 total minutes in the penalty box in game 3. And you're not going to win that way. And
No,
hopefully McDavid will have a good night tonight. And but Panthers are just relentless.
Yeah, so Uncle Mike, sorry, to your point about the penalty box. Yeah, they got to stay out of the penalty box, and what they should not be doing is 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 all of this chippiness and this fighting that they've been involved because of how physical and hard hitting this series has become, which has turned it into a UFC UFC fight, which is what the
not
one of the
quite
players
that
before
far,
the Panthers
but
is.
yeah.
Well, but you get the idea
I know what you
because
mean. I know what you mean.
and
Well,
so
they're playing the Panthers game. And
For
you're not
sure.
going you got to play the Oilers game. You can't play the Panthers game because the Panthers they're the best at being the brutes.
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
and Stork Skinner has given up some big goals in the series too.
Yeah.
So do
Well,
keep that in mind.
he gave up 5 goals out of 23 shots in game 3. That's a tough night. That's a tough night between the pipes.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night for those Oilers and and for their head coach Chris Konapa and Paul Coffey for them to go back to the drawing board and just try to adjust and learn from this and hopefully
Yeah, yeah.
and hopefully bring your better and hopefully come up with a better game plan and hopefully tie the series back up and hope that the Edmonton Oilers stay in the fight and get back in the series.
Alex, any thoughts, predictions, what you've seen so far from this Stanley Cup series? What do you feel about the series so far?
I think Jackson just nailed it. You got to keep your guys on the ice, not in the box. I've never played hockey. I've probably watched about 5 hockey matches in my life. So I'm pulling for the Oilers. I did know the first 2 games were pretty epic overtime thrillers, but
Yeah,
we need Connor McDavid. He's at the top of the game. Winners find a way. He needs 3 goals, 2 assists tonight. Let's take
for
care
sure.
of business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's a good point that we've made. It's, he's obviously the best player, but in these big pressure situations, you need your guys like McDavid to step up. So I would expect him to have a good game tonight, given the how poorly they showed out in game 3. So yeah, I think definitely hit the McDavid over on points tonight. For sure is what I'm predicting as well.
I like Jackson coming in with the UFC. It definitely makes
Yeah,
me want to watch it more.
I mean,
Maybe we'll get
it
a
did get
little,
pretty physical towards the end of the last game, certainly.
yeah, turn Connor McDavid into Connor McGregor, maybe.
There you go. There you go.
Then I'm definitely
Oh
watching.
yeah, it's definitely been that kind of a series. I can definitely guarantee you that.
So
All
you're
right.
predicting a hat trick for McDavid?
No doubt about it.
All
Yeah.
right.
No, I'm with you, Alex. I say we just back him to the full.
Yeah. You got no choice at this point. Back against the ropes.
McDavid hat trick. Oilers to even the series tonight. So definitely keep an eye on that one for sure tonight. See if Edmonton can go back into game 5 back on Canadian soil with a bit of positive momentum.
But you got to get out of warm, sunny Sunrise,
They
Florida,
got to get out of Sunrise in one piece, don't they? Yeah.
right outside of Fort Lauderdale down there. So
It ain't easy coming out of
gotta
there
get
in one piece.
gotta get out of that South Florida sun in order to get back to Canadian warm, sunny soil weather out there in Edmonton. So got to steal one down in South Florida in order to have a chance to get back to the series.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I agree. It should be a good contest tonight for sure. For sure. All right. Well, now I want to jump over to a series that happened last night, actually. The NBA Finals are currently taking place. We've covered it a little bit on this show recently. OKC versus Indiana, 2 smaller market teams. Maybe not the finals that a lot of people would have predicted at the start of the series. So far, I have to say the games have been pretty entertaining, pretty back and forth. Last night we saw a similar formula for Indiana getting a victory as in Game 3 last night, as they did in the first game, where they kind of rode their luck, hung in the game, and overcame a bit of a deficit in Game 3 to take home the victory at home in Indiana. So, Jack, the Pacers just continuing to impress here. Looks like, huh?
Yeah, those fans were really into it for those fans up in Indy for the crosstowns of the most for the city right there. I mean, pretty much anybody that you name was at this game, including Mark Jackson and Oscar Robertson and the great Reggie Miller, the Pacers all time great. They were really they were really into it. And think about it, they were down by double digits. They come from behind and storm back right at halftime, off the bench, made the free throws, and that was the difference. Now, Oklahoma City and SAG, Shane Gillis Alexander, played played the right amount of minutes. They just they did all they could. It was just that Indiana Pacers just found a way, got really hot, and that was stayed hot at the right time. And Tyrese Halliburton does his thing like he usually does, which is in which is live in the big moment at the right place at the right time, making those big clutch free shots, and that was really the difference. And so Oklahoma City, of course you had the Williams brothers going at it, and then of course Wallace and Trent Morgan and Obi Toppin and and Pascal Siakam, who previously and their and coach Rick Carswell, who actually had some championship experience, winning the title with the Mavericks, and Siakam winning a title with the Raptors back in 2019, and they do have a championship mentality for experience for this roster, and I do think that the Indiana Pacers, having won last night, are now 2 wins away from bringing back the championship to the city of Indianapolis and in the great state of Indiana, which is something that the fans can really taste it, and we're just about almost there. Knowing that they're two wins away from winning it, which is quite remarkable, especially if you think about it. And so really the Pacers are just really that great of a team, and you got to give them a lot of credit because the Pacers and Rick Carwell and the Thunder just had the big lead. They just got ran over and beat by a better Pacers team. That was really the difference.
Yeah, just
The Pacers,
good execution from Indiana
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's really how it all went down last night in Rainbridge Fieldhouse up there in Indy.
Mike,
Yeah.
you must be really impressed with the play of Halliburton and this Indiana
Mhm.
team. I mean, have mentioned it the week over week saying, well, it's been a good run and, they'll eventually run into a team that's better than them, but they just haven't really, slowed down Indiana, have they?
No, I mean Indiana's been playing their game full throttle, no breaks, and the Thunder hasn't been able to stay with them. I think I'm most impressed with the Pacers bench in Game 3.
Yeah, the depth is there for sure, isn't it?
I mean they're playing like a team, all 10.
Absolutely.
Just and the first 2 games you could argue that Halliburton wasn't really having a good series, but that all changed in Game 3. And he was 1 rebound away from a triple double.
Mm,
And he hit half of his 3-pointers, but the star was Mathurin coming off the bench, scoring 27 points and hitting 2 of his 3.
yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, I like the way they playing. fast and
Absolutely,
loose.
absolutely. I think part of the reason this team flew under the radar for so long is because, like you said, they don't have like their star, quote unquote, would be Halliburton, right? But his game is very much so serving other players, assist, hustle, rebounds. And don't get me wrong, he's a great clutch scorer as well. By the way, but he's definitely that scorer, that type of player that gets other people involved. And like you said, the Indiana team just kind of been plugging away all playoffs, minding their own business, not listening to the outside noise, right? So, Alex, have you been following the series at all? I mean, you must be pretty impressed with what you've seen from Indiana so far this playoffs, right?
Oh yeah, I've really turned into a Pacer fan, no doubt. I love Tyrese. Where was he? Was he at Iowa State,
Yeah,
which is a college I know almost nothing about, but always pick them to go deep in my bracket.
yeah.
Uh,
Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones. So it's great to see a product coming out of the program just absolutely dominating. They're just like wearing everybody out, it seems like. Just like as you said, what are they, a 4 seed? Pretty unassuming, coming out of the East and then just taking care of business every
Yeah,
round. I think Tyrese has a buzzer beater, or I guess last round one to tie it at the buzzer. I'm pretty sure in all 4 rounds of the playoffs here. So he's just like unbelievable clutch, putting together one of the best playoff performances in NBA history. What do you think of that, Jackson?
I like it. That's a great stat right there here on Good Guy Sports, and I think that the Pacers and the run that they've been on lately with their with their roster that they've built for this locker room, and how this team just really played so-called underdog mentality,
underdog
has really
basketball,
showed up
hustle
in
basketball.
the big minutes. And think about it, Alex. The run they've been on this postseason, they beat Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. They beat the top seed Cavaliers, and they beat and they beat the top seeded New York Knicks in the conference finals.
That's right.
And yes, and so and if you go back to game one, where how this all started, of Tyrese Halliburton getting this lucky bounce, and he did the choke sign with the fans at Madison Square Garden, and he quieted the crowd doing just that. And the Pacers just really love playing their underdog mentality, and they just love playing on the road. And to go back to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a second, I mean, look, they have been down 2-0. They've been down 2-1 before in these playoffs. Go back to the series against the Denver Nuggets, against the Joker and of Jokic, he just and he went on to win Game One in that series, and the Thunder of OKC won Game Two. The Nuggets won Game Three in that game, and that's very similar of how things played out in that series compared to this one. Although they are going up against a very great and more talented Pacers team that are up against, compared to Joker and the Denver Nuggets. But this is a whole different animal and team that OKC is going up against, given the fact that given the fact that they always bounce back after a loss in this series, which I feel like is going to be, which I feel is the more likely, to me, is going to be going to a 7-game series. But the way that I see it, with how the Indiana Pacers have just really, that I'm seeing for this locker room and this team, I'm seeing no quit. Those guys show up with the right minutes at the right place, right time. Those Pacers know how to play. They are not afraid at the big moment in the big stage, and they always find ways to make big bucks and find ways to win. They love playing this underdog mentality, and Coach Rarecrow of uh, of how this culture that he created for those fans up in Indianapolis, in the Circle City of Indiana, has really shows it all, and seen it all, and that's really how this Indiana Pacers team has is in the finals for a reason, because of playing because of plays and big moments just like that, and it is the reason why they're in it. And so to me, if you're the Thunder with one of your for one of your players that you just got to for Alex Caruso and those guys that also one of the players Alex Caruso who won a championship with the former Laker obviously hasn't seen something like this before and from a series in this game, but the Pacers, it was their night and their fans got to enjoy what they watched last night. For those fans up in the Greenberg house, Reggie Miller enjoyed it. Um, Mike,
Most
Mike
importantly,
Jackson
did
enjoyed
you
it.
enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I sure enough did, Alex.
Hey,
And
there's a lot of basketball to be played though, Jack. You know,
Mark
it's only
Jackson
Yeah.
and
only
Andre
3 games
Robinson,
right
those
now.
guys. Oh yeah, those fans up in up in Indiana, Alex, they're feeling it. They're feeling it, and they just got a taste of it. And I think they really are soaking it in and really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, Jackson, I just want to bring in Blake Lineberger is able to join us. Welcome to the show, Blake. Just want to get your quick thoughts before we move on from the NBA Finals. Caught any of it? Your thoughts, feelings about what you've seen from this series so far, the NBA Finals. All right, looks like Blake.
While he's catching on, I've got a little stat to share with everyone.
Sure.
I see this on Reddit. Is the Pacers have only led for 11% of game time, 20 minutes, and they're up 2-1 here. And their
Wow.
largest lead of the series is 9.
Oh.
So Jackson, I think some of the things you were touching on are like the themes of, they're hard to put down, very resilient.
King of the comeback.
Yeah, people didn't expect him to be here, and that's probably how they like it. And now everyone's like, great, they got there. OKC's gonna crush them. I think I saw that Jay-Z bet $1 million that OKC would win it in 5 games. Well, who just lost $1 million? Jay-Z. So anyway,
Only took 3
yeah,
games.
I mean, the Pacers are gamers. So
Jackson, I got bad news for you. Indiana's got that dog in them. They've got that hustle. But as if you guys have ever seen Last Chance You, it ain't about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. OKC has got too many Jimmies and Joes, and they're going to take it. I'm sorry, Jack. I hate to deliver that news. That's not great news. I know.
Hey, it's okay, Blake. It's going to be a long series, just like I predicted. So I say enjoy it. And
7-gamer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I say
6. They're going to sweep the next game.
I say enjoy it, enjoy the ride, and just enjoy every minute of it until the last play. That's what I say to that.
Yeah.
speaking of Jimmys and Joes,
the
did you
home
guys see TJ McConnell last night? He had like 4 steals on inbounds.
Yeah.
I sure enough did. He is Alex.
Drafted.
I did.
That's an undrafted TJ McConnell as well.
Yes. Yeah. TJ McConnell. Yeah. TJ McConnell. I believe he's undrafted, and he actually, TJ McConnell. So I believe he played college at Arizona, but originally from the Pittsburgh area, I believe. So.
Yeah, he's been a big hustle guy around in the league.
15-minute spark plug.
That's kind of what
10
this team is
points,
built on, right?
Yeah.
5 assists, 5 steals.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's been the formula. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking up TJ McConnell right now. He was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the Steel City, of course, where the U.S. Open is for golf, and he played his college at Arizona, undrafted in the 2015 NBA draft. And
do you have his address?
Well,
no, I'm
not to give anything away.
No, we love TJ. No, he's very emblematic of this team.
He played for this. So he actually played for the fun fact. He actually played for the Philadelphia 76ers prior to being traded to the Pacers. So that just gives you a lot of his bio and the idea from his basketball playing career.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think this is going to be a long series. I think probably both series, Stanley Cup and NBA Finals, we're looking at two long series here. I think so. Good for us sports fans. More games, more nights. So definitely some games to look forward to as we progress through June.
Indianapolis, the home of the NBA champions and the WNBA champions.
There you go. There you go.
And of course the
Big
home of
basketball
the
town.
and of course don't forget it is a racing town too, which is the home of IndyCar. So
Yeah,
don't forget about that one. Even though Blake Lumberger is in love with NASCAR and racing fan and in the brickyard up there, so he is all in for that. And yes, Indianapolis
Hey,
is
racing
a
is racing,
racing
man.
town.
yeah. Full throttle, no brakes.
Start your engines, gentlemen. We're in for a long
Indeed.
one.
There you have it. There you have it. All right. Well, really quick, we got a couple other topics to hit while we still have some time here. Wanted to just give a quick recap of a pretty exciting final that took place this past Sunday, being the French Open tennis final. We saw Alcaraz prevail over the one seed Sinner in a fifth set tiebreaker as well. So that it was really, really entertaining tournament. A great game. I know we were watching some of that match as well, Jackson. It was pretty impressive. And Alcaraz, man, he seems like he's really set up here to win a lot of majors.
Yeah, Blake. I believe and if I'm mistaken, he has won back-to-back French Open titles. And
Correct, yeah.
yes, and that match,
The
by
new
the way,
Nadal.
lasted 5 hours and 29 minutes.
Yeah.
That's longer than Uncle Mike and Aunt Lori spending an actual day at Nationals ballpark. So
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
to give you an idea of it. And
Longer than a baseball game. That's crazy.
oh
Well,
yeah, oh yeah.
they played a doubleheader.
There you go.
Well, how about that? Looking at the match of this
Yeah, so
exciting thriller.
Sinner won the first two, Alcaraz won the second two. Then that fifth set was just a bit of a nail biter, huh?
Oh yeah. It went back and forth, back and forth. It felt like that you were on a roller coaster ride, given the fact of how exciting it was to watch. And so Jannar Skinner and Carlos Alcaraz, because of how of how long and exciting it was to watch at the Rolls Garros tournament, that it just gave the fact that many that how the ball boys and how tiring it was. You'd be sitting there for hours, given
Even the ball boys were tired,
how
huh?
long it was. And but the only longest tennis tournament that Trellis won is the 2012 Australian Open between Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, I believe, and Federer, I believe it was, and one of those two. And then back in 2016, Australian Open, I believe, which is on that list, that trailed that trails on that list. That is by far for the longest tennis matches that last that long. But this is by far the longest tennis match that lasted in all of the Roland Garros tennis French Open, which really shows you of how Skinner and of how Jannar Skinner and Carlos Alcaraz, where prior to this match they were both unbeatable, and both of them never lost, and something has got to give. And it felt like a roller coaster ride, ride that you were on, kind of like what Patrick McEnroe said on the broadcast. That really what really stood out is that how this tournament just really knowing of how so many serves and just kind of just went back and forth, and so many lead changes, and Skinner was so close, I believe it was in the fourth or fifth set, of closing out the match, except Alcaraz, Carlos,
Not so fast.
Carlos just somehow found a way to rally and come behind and force another set, and that was where things got it, and that was where things got a bit interesting, where Jannar Skinner does not do well when the match extends to a fifth set, which doesn't really go in his favor. And
yeah, he got a bit tired, didn't he?
Yeah, and he got a bit tired, worn out, and that's really that says it all right there. But that was really how Carlos
a great match,
Alcaraz
wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, epic.
Mike,
great
did
match.
you get a chance to catch any of that?
I caught some of it. It's just amazing. Just think about running around for 5.5 hours.
On clay.
I mean,
yeah, on the clay surface. Yeah.
3 of the 5 sets went 7-6.
That was so much tennis.
Skinner won the second set 7-6, and then Alcaraz won the fourth and fifth sets 7-6.
Yeah.
But just they have to be in such tip-top shape to be running around like that for 5.5 hours.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
That's crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, they were saying that early in his career, Alcaraz had some cramping issues, which he's obviously booted by now. But yeah, everyone's going to talk about how amazing the match was. I don't know if anyone else felt this way. It kind of ruined my whole Sunday. I was like, okay, after the third set and this thing's over, I'll go to the grocery store. And then I was sitting on my couch for 3 more hours. But yeah, I feel bad for Sinner. He had him 40 love on match point. And Jackson, you know our friend Murray. Well, Murray has a dad, and his dad says that one of the most embarrassing things in sports is if you let your opponent come back from 40 love. Well, he let him come back from 40 love and then beat him in 3 sets. So that's got to be extra painful. I feel very bad for Sinner.
Yeah,
honestly.
you should be tough one to swallow for sure, especially of how those 2 players were unbeaten prior to the match. And if you go back to last year, where they actually met in the semifinals, where Alcaraz actually won every single previous meeting and has never lost. So something had to give, and that's just the way. I mean, somebody had to lose, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. Even though it was in the finals, and prior to that, he beat Djokovic in the second round. But in the women's final, Coco Gauff beat Arnura Sabalenka in the women's single final, and Coco Gauff became the first American since Serena Williams did it 10 years ago, back in 2015, for the last American to win on clay in Paris at the French Open. So that drought can be finally over for those who support U.S. tennis, which especially Coco, who finally this would actually be Coco's second rematch with Arnura Sabalenka, dating back to the U.S. Open a couple of years ago, where she also beat the same opponent and did the same this past Sunday, and that is where she finally won a French Open in her career, just about there for collecting in her trophy case. Maybe Wimbledon will be next year in her career. You never know. But the French Open, is definitely something that she had dreamed of, and I think that Coco Gauff did just that. And
great tournament.
All I gotta say is good for her. Great tournament for her. And but I gotta tell you, Andrea Sabalenka put up a great fight in that match, and that was really how it all went down. But in the end, Coco Gauff found a way to win the game, and that was the difference. And that's it all right there. And Coco Gauff is finally a Roland Garros French Open Women's Champion, has won the title.
Let's go, Coco. Good to get some American representation in tennis for sure. Definitely not much on the men's side, so definitely great to have a U.S. women's tennis player out there thriving. So yeah, huge shout out to Coco for sure.
Now, luckily, that one, it lasted only 2 hours and 24 minutes, so not as long as the men's final was on Sunday.
Yes,
so
you can go run your errands after that one for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Saturday.
Quite a Saturday. Didn't have to worry about the grocery store.
Yeah, Saturday. Saturday you didn't really miss much on that day, but Sunday, yeah, you did miss a lot, and so so that really says it all your day right there, Alex.
Dug into my beach time. You hate that. You hate
I
that.
know, I know. Yeah, I feel so bad for you missing it all. I,
Tough life, tough life.
yeah, tough to live the life when you took out the sun and you had to miss all that. I I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Jackson.
All right, well,
Welcome, Alex.
gentlemen, I think we got to switch over to a big tournament happening this weekend. I'm sure most people are aware. Obviously, Father's Day this weekend, always time for the men's U.S. Open Golf Championship. Always a huge deal over the summer. Probably the second biggest major, depending on some people might prefer the British Open. I'll leave that to the comments section. But this year we had a great U.S. Open with taking place at Oakmont Country Club, one of the more historical U.S. Open venues that we've seen over the years. So that teed off today. Obviously, we're recording this on Thursday, so we're expecting some great golf this weekend. Maybe a bit weather might be a bit spotty the next couple of days, so something to keep an eye on for sure. But so far the round today, it seemed like a lot of the top leaderboard players didn't necessarily have a great round. It seems like the results were pretty mixed, but obviously you don't want to read too much into just one round of golf. But I guess the storyline here, Mike, is
Dennis.
Scheffler versus the field,
Yeah.
right, for this Open, right?
Yeah. Well, I like the story about the dentist,
What's that?
Matt Voigt,
Oh, that's right.
who was one of the top amateurs that made the tournament. Practicing dentist, 34-year-old dentist out of Indiana,
Oh, wow.
right outside of Indianapolis.
That's a great
Um,
story.
yeah, and
Wow,
unfortunately,
wow, I love that.
he finished today at plus 12, so he didn't have such a good round, but he hit his first tee shot. He actually, when he was in high school, he used to caddy at Oakmount.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
but he hit his tee shot, and it went on the far side of the ninth hole. But then he managed to save it and ended up getting a par. He had a pretty good front nine,
Yeah, once you get
but
that first shot out of the way, you can kind of
yeah, but
build into the round, right?
it's a great story. Uh, that's kind of what getting the amateurs in there.
That's what the US Open that's what the US Open's all about, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Those kinds of storylines.
yeah. But then you have McIlroy didn't have such a good day. Uh,
Hmm.
he shot at 84.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh,
so
Rory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's got another
yeah,
decade before his next major win, anyways.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
have to worry about
yeah,
him.
yeah. I don't know if you know this, Alex, but we had Joe Sheriff on
Oh yeah, I listen.
on one of our shows a couple of years ago, where he was
Weeks ago,
actually,
yeah.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
actually at the Masters
Toastmasters.
final
Yep.
round Sunday, and he told us some stories and all about what the experience was like there, and we talked about how he enjoyed seeing Rory McIlroy win the green jacket, and we really enjoyed his company and part of his experience, and we thanked him a lot for that. So it was
Trust me, I
very
was
special.
locked in on that episode.
Oh, I know
I
you
didn't I
were,
didn't
Alex.
I didn't miss a word of that. You
Oh,
guys were
oh,
talking career
oh,
grand
oh, yeah, we
slams,
were all over on that.
but I think you guys were missing the calendar slam was the term you were searching for.
Okay.
Right.
The calendar slam.
Well, I would consider the golf national championship, as most people would call it. But a fun fact actually. So my parents and I took actually been to this golf course. And I
Yeah.
actually went there when I was a baby. So my parents took me there back in 1994 when I was a baby, and I believe you were not and Brother Blake, you were not born yet, but my mom and dad took me to the US Open that year back in 94, and I saw the course, and I was a and I was very and I was a baby, and my dad's brother-in-law, my dad's uncle, one of my dad's aunts actually lived in Pittsburgh at the time. So that could be the reason why we got tickets for this U.S. Open, because of how convenient it was. And this layout of the U.S. Open, Oakmont, which I attended when I was a baby. I didn't remember any of it back then, but that's just but that was but that was quite the experience that I had when I was a baby. When my dad was holding me when I was at one of the tees out there on that course. But it was
great course. It's
very special.
One of the courses that people always look forward to. Oakmont, Pebble Beach, like Bethpage. Kind of that historical U.S. Open course, right? So
that's right. And so that was really my story in my in my kind of headline in my kind of in my kind of life that I in my kind of day for what I really enjoyed as a baby back then, which was really quite determined and quite special. Where it was a much watched year when Ernie Els won that year, and the most recent one, Dustin Johnson winning it in 2016, where he had the go ahead shot at the 18th green and settled in for the go win game winning putt at on the 18th. And that really says it all right there. That was really special. And then of course Andrew Cabela back in 07, the one prior to that a long time ago, where he smoked his cigar and he defeated Tiger Woods that year, and Tiger Woods was in contention that year, and that was really oh yeah, and that really says it all right there for what this golf tournament has to offer. But
Jackson, I gotta ask Alex, is it Scotty Scheffler versus the field? I mean, obviously he didn't get off to the greatest start, but if you look at the odds, Scheffler's obviously far and ahead, the best golfer on the tour right now. It's not even close. So is it stupid to bet against him even after one round?
I'm never betting against Scotty. He's been amazing. He's been hot to start the year, obviously. And I actually just this week watched a video of him playing pickup basketball in a local gym, and he looked pretty smooth. He looked pretty like TJ McConnell-esque out there. So
oh yeah,
multi-sport athlete. This guy's got it working for him in all aspects of life, really. Yeah, I've always been big on Scotty, so I wouldn't bet against him. I'm looking at the course. I'm seeing a lot of sand on this thing. This is looking
lots of
like
hazards out there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, lots of hazards. And a fun fact, and it, yeah, absolutely. Interesting enough, Alex, that this golf course actually has the Pennsylvania Turnpike that actually runs through it with train tracks, and that just yeah, and so really the layout just is quite special and different a layout than what you're used to seeing for any golf major tournament or for any PGA signature event that you ever played on. So it's quite the hard hitting course. It's a lot of hitting drivers course. It's not easy. It's all spread out, greens everywhere, and that's really how this Oakmont golf course just really got set up for how this all plays out. But yeah, I mean, look, your point about Scotty Scheffler, yeah, he could, yeah, look, he is down by.
He's down
plus two, right?
Yeah, he's plus two. He's plus two right now. But look, it's a long golf tournament. We've got a long way to go. Go back to the PGA Championship, and for golf's last major, where Scotty Scheffler was actually only down by 2+ for two was 2+ over and 2+1 in that term as well. And what did he do? He went on the run and got back to the mix and got back in this thing, and then he just never gave up and just took one shot and play at a time, and if he does just that, then Scott Scheffler is in the mix, and he's right there, and that's that to me is a perfect example of it. And I think Scott Scheffler, whenever he gets hot, just watch out, because he can somehow turn a golf tournament around very quickly, even when it's early. And I know it's Thursday, but there's plenty of golf, and the PGA Championship for when he was down in this situation before where it didn't go his way in those previous rounds. Well, Sky Scheffler has found a way, and he's turned around and in that in that golf major and for that championship, and that really is how he got it done. So the same can be said for this week at Oakmont, but we'll see how things turn out. Only time will tell. But I think that it could very well lean and go toward and go his way. But a long way to go. But I do think Sky Scheffler could be on pace to hopefully win a U.S. Open. And yes, I do see him at some point, maybe not this year, but like 10 or 20 years down the road, that we could see himself complete the career Grand Slam, much like what Tiger Woods did back in the day. He does have and is on the Tiger Woods list of on Tiger Woods categories. He's up there, just probably a little bit more better percentage than Tiger was back in the day.
Yeah. So here's a thought for you, Jack. With the potential rain coming in Saturday and Sunday, that might slow the greens down.
Okay.
Which may lead to more people being below par.
So if there's rain in the forecast on Saturday, then that could favor an advantage Sky Scheffler because of how he's a great ball striker and loves to hit the ball on the fairway and is a great putter, and he leads golf in pretty much every single category: putting and birdies and maybe some eagles and pretty much different stroke plays and pars, you name it. He's done it all, and I think Sky Scheffler can do just that, like you said, Mike. And so really, the field, the players are going to have a really hard time on a long day, trying to hit or strike or hit the golf ball in those conditions. It can really be a long day on the course for the player for every player. So 155 of them is really going to be become a difference. And I think that's really how it's all going to play out for this golf tournament. If the weather really holds and plays out that way, which would be very interesting. But if that happens, then yes, I think it'll play out and make a difference. So now Rory McIlroy, I know he's been struggling, but because winning the Masters is a lifetime ago, well, you'll remember this, Uncle Mike, having lived in your hometown most of your life, where he won the U.S. Open back in 2011 at Congressional Golf Club, just down the road from you, where you reside, Uncle Mike. Another history lesson for you that he last won the U.S. Open that year. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll be in the mix for it, but I doubt it. But the next
I
best
think
player,
we're gonna see, given the leaderboard right now that we're seeing, and it's up in the air. I think we can't make any judgments until tomorrow at the very least in terms of who starts. But someone's gonna start pulling away soon. Right.
But the next golfer that I like besides Sky Scheffler against the field is Bryson DeChambeau, where he can entertain a crowd.
Oh, give me a break.
Yeah, and he can really.
Enough of this guy.
Yeah, well, I can't help it because he loves to put up a show and a crowd on the golf course like WWE, and he can really get the crowd going. And he
looks like WWE.
And yeah, of course he does. And he's that kind of golfer and his playing style. And he even has his own YouTube channel that they might want to check out. Feel free if you do that. He knows.
Should we do a collab with Bryson? Good Guy Sports, Bryson DeChambeau collaboration.
I would love that. Sign me up. I think he would. I think if he's listening, he would actually love that.
Yeah, he's at +3 right now.
Okay, yeah, he's pretty much where everyone else is on that leaderboard.
Yeah,
so.
Well, all right. Well, I hear you. But
got to give a quick shout out to
that's not a bad thing.
To the current leader, JJ Spawn. He's the only person who's 4 under right now at the top of the leaderboard. Never heard of this guy before in my life, but he's
me neither.
leading the U.S. Open after one day. So got to give a big shout out to Mr. Spawn, right?
Yeah.
And then we got Tristan Lawrence from South Africa. I never heard of him either. And then Sugar M. I've never heard of him either from Korea. Ronsman Nagrosha Perdition. I've never heard of that golfer either. Siwoo Kim.
We don't have to read the whole leaderboard.
I know.
That might take a
Well,
while.
we gotta get through top 10.
Well, top 10. That's what I'm doing. But
Top 10.
Siwoo Kim. Oh, everybody's heard of him. He's a
Oh,
very
yeah, we
popular
like Siwoo.
Asian. Oh yeah, Asian player. But Cameron Young and Ben Griffin, I've heard of them. Thomas Mitri and Jordan Spieth, yeah, I've heard of them. And then John Rahm.
Yeah, so there's
why'd
some
you-
big
why'd
names.
you
2021
switch
U.S. Open champion. Oh yes, we all heard. We've all heard of them. And so Jordan Spieth, Patrick Reed, and Adam Scott, those guys. And so
Yeah, there's some
Burger-
there's some pretty big names there. Thereabouts.
Yeah, Kepka's up there.
yeah, very full
This
list.
is
Oh
his
yeah.
specialty, U.S. Open.
There you go.
This
Could
is
be a
his event,
Kepka. He's been quiet for a while, hasn't he? Yeah, he's just coexist. He's just living off of the live lifestyle there, so he hasn't competed too much in the recent majors. But yeah, could be a Kepka year as well. So yeah, definitely an interesting leaderboard. Should be a really entertaining tournament. Well, obviously, like we discussed, have to keep an eye on the weather, see how that impacts things for rounds 2 and 3. But hey, listen, a nice afternoon Father's Day final round at Oakmont for the U.S. Open. I mean, it's hard to beat that for Sunday afternoon, right, Mike? So I'm sure you're looking forward to that for Father's Day, right?
Well, I'm actually looking forward to Nationals finally getting on the Curly W side.
There you go. There you go. That too.
Well, speaking of which, for
we just got a few
baseball,
minutes left, Jack.
Obviously, well, real quick before a few minutes left, even though we're out of time, like you said, like that, that last week prior to the U.S. Open, that last week, I don't know if you saw it, you probably caught the highlights of it, Uncle Mike or everybody for a panel here, that Ryan Fox won the 2025 RBC Canadian Open, defending Sam Burns in a four-way play playoff for a fourth round hole. So that was very exciting to watch, and then he got an invitation for the U.S. Open. So that's exciting, but I'm sure you catch some highlights of that, didn't you, Mike?
Well, I got some of that. Good tournament up there.
Oh yeah, up there in Canada, of course. You betcha, and then of course, before we all go, I did want to mention that Alex, you talked to me before on FaceTime that you're actually going to be going to the All-Star game in Atlanta with your girlfriend who works at one of the regional sport networks, FanDuel Sports Network Southeast, for the Braves regional broadcast team. Is that true? Well, before I say that, I like to point out that Uncle Mike is a Nationals fan, and he watches and their regional channel is MASN, which is the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network channel up there. Compared to
we know him well.
Oh, that's true. And then of course
let's let Alex talk about the All-Star game though, Jack. We got a minute left. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Jackson, thank you. Hopefully I get to go. We'll see how the tickets line up, but if there are any spares, there's a high chance that I could get in on the Home Run Derby All-Star game. So now Caroline, my girlfriend, will have to watch this, and now she's on the hot seat to deliver those tickets.
Alex, if you have your choice, go to the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I would prefer. Yeah,
I think it's a better event. Yeah, I agree.
Either
when
that
when the All-Star game was here in DC, I went to all of it, and by far the Home Run Derby was more exciting than the actual game.
Who won that one?
Bryce Harper.
Oh wow!
And he was, and believe it or not, Alex, Uncle Mike can tell you about this. He was a Washington National back in
2018
back that year. Yeah.
He competed against Schwaba. Kyle Schwaba. Schwaba was a Cubby. He was with the Cubs at the time.
Very nice.
That was anyway. Sorry.
No, he's having a good year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Schwarber.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
No,
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it should be a really good All-Star home
Oh
run
yeah.
derby. Good to have it in Atlanta for sure. Hadn't been in Atlanta in a
And then of
while, so
course there's the HBCU Classic there. So
yep. No, for sure. Should be a great All-Star
so that's
weekend.
another event you
Yep.
can go to. And then of course
Absolutely.
the celebrity all a softball game too.
Yep.
So
All kinds of events going on, aren't there?
lots of choices and options to choose from for any for any events and for any fanfare they can choose from. You got options, and I think that Alex
Absolutely.
Rose can choose one or the other. So that's really that's really the great thing about baseball attending all the festivities in Atlanta for
Yep.
what there's lots to offer, and I think
Absolutely. Good to bring the All-Star game.
yes,
Yep.
and I think he'll enjoy just that.
Absolutely. Great to bring the All-Star game back to Atlanta for sure. For sure. Definitely look forward to that next month. Definitely. Definitely. All right. Well, I think we are just about out of time here on Good Guy Sports. We've covered a lot of ground. I want to thank usual guests, Jackson Gerke, Mike Roby, and a big shout out to returning champion Alex Gross for popping on Good Guy Sports. Alex, definitely going to have you back again soon, man.
Would love to do so. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good week.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye
Thanks,
now.
Alex.